Dice Rally is back. Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, we're taking a look at Dice Rally because it's one of my favorite events, and I just enjoy interacting with it in a myriad of different ways. I think it's a very goofy, fun time, and I have a great time playing it. So, I'm going to show you 3 different decks and 3 different duels, all utilizing a wide array of different strategies and just generally enjoying Dice Rally. Starting off with one of my favorite new decks, Hecahands. Hecahands is obviously pretty much untouched within the event because it's one of the newer decks, and it's not exceptional, so why not? That being said, though, it's still a very fun deck, and it synergizes very well with a lot of the mechanics presented within the event, because they start out with cards on the opponent's field sometimes that you could potentially take with something like Change of Heart. They also give you the ability to more effectively make use of opponent's cards with things like Super Polymerization. I'm not playing it here, but you could do that, right? So there's a bunch of stuff like that that the Hecahands are well positioned for. Also, the metagame is just significantly weaker than generally because a lot of the top decks are banned out or unplayable in a way, and a lot more people are willing to experiment. So this deck tends to do pretty well. It's pretty simple. I'm playing hand traps instead, mostly because instead of playing like a board breaker style, I figured I'd play going first, as I normally do, so hand traps tend to synergize a little bit more with that. But on top of that, there's a lot of kind of useless cards, for lack of a better term, especially when you are given a random card to kind of synergize with. So there's a bunch of stuff like that that I think the Hecahands don't necessarily synergize with, so we're just playing hand traps. Valor, Droll, Ash, Nibiru. We're also playing Triple Tack. I also decided to throw in Pot of Desires because why not? It worked really well for me. So there you go. We also then, of course, have the standard Hecahands, the Ibtels, Yodels, Makabuels, Godos, Gygas, and Brias, like standard Hecahands, and then the standard trap lineup as well. 3 hidden Hecahands, and I'm actually playing 2 Tartaros. It came up occasionally, but not a ton. We're also playing 1 Monster Reborn and 1 Change of Heart as a way to kind of get additional guys from our opponent onto our field. You could argue that, we should probably be playing more because it's easier to just steal a random card from the opponent. And realistically, yeah, you probably should, but you're not guaranteed to have a monster on the opponent's field, so I don't necessarily think that it's great all of the time, so there's that. As for the extra deck, it's pretty simple, just the Hecahands, and then Zombie Vamp, as well as some Link monsters to go into. That's pretty much it. Let's hop into the replay and show you how this deck performed. Alrighty, here we are going second, and our hand is actually pretty good. I mean, it's hidden Hecahands, 2 hand traps, and they gave me Decode Talker in the middle monster zone. How useful. Truly going to be able to make use of its effect. Well, my opponent's on rockets, so we'll see what they can accomplish. I mean, Nibiru here is kind of crazy, so let's see what we can accomplish into whatever they're doing. Out comes Boot Sector Launch. They're going to then activate the effect, popping the Apsa Router to add back a guy. Sure. Add back the Rocket Loader. They're going to search here as well. I don't Ash this. There's not really a point to. They're going to go for the Boot Sector Launch. They're going to special summon 2 guys, and at that point, I just Nibiru them, because here's the thing. Of course, they're going to actually special summon this guy and then not read his effect. Here's the thing. This card specifically states that if sent to the graveyard, you can roll a dice. If you get 2, 3, 4, or 5, you can special summon it. However, if special summoned that way, the player who summoned it can't summon from the extra deck while it's face up. So, good luck, bud. And of course, they still don't read their card and elect not to pop the Rover and instead pop the Nibiru token, because why wouldn't they pop the Nibiru token? Cool. My opponent has nothing. I just found this duel really funny because the opponent just literally refused to read Rover. Here's the thing. This is the card that they have. They just refuse to read it. They imperm on the Brias. Tragic. I think I know the last card in hand is like a monster, which is why I did that. Anyway, beside the point, we're going to go for the Yodel off of the hidden Hecahand, sending the Nibiru. We're going to go for the Dandalos and yoink one of their guys. Then, of course, go into Jowza and add back the Monkambuel. We're going to activate the Jowza to grab the Yodel so that we can grab another of our spell traps. We're going to grab the bait here. Then we're going to fusion away all of our monsters that we've used thus far to go into Xeno. And guess what? That's my Boral. So I end up stealing the Boral Shroud and just walk over one of their monsters, set the rest, and pass the turn. I can't really get over them here, so yeah, we'll just pass. They're still locked under their own rover, which is very funny. Now, here's the thing. It gets better, because I find the second Link 5 Boral monster, Boral End. As it turns out, they are not playing rockets. I'm playing rockets. I love this deck. It's so goofy. Xeno being able to just, like, yoink their boss monsters was really, really funny. So, cool. Yeah, there you go. There's Boral End. We're going to activate the effect of Xeno again, and I don't really find anything too useful, but I do find Breach Boral, which does give me the ability to buff up my Xeno, because he does that for some reason. Like, this card's text is very funny. It literally just says target a dark monster and give it 500 attack. It also has like an additional effect, but like it just says gain 500. Anyway, I'm gonna steal their monster and then just walk over the field here and deal lethal damage. 10 out of 10 game. Good game. You're not rockets, I'm rockets. There we go. I got there. Alrighty, the next deck we have is Voiceless Voice Fiendsmith with Ladybug of Doom. I'll show you in a second. Here's the thing. Ladybug, 4-star Ladybug of Doom is in here, 1, because it's funny, and 2, because it fulfills the requirement on a card that we were given for free. So, of course, we're going to make use of it. That being said, Voiceless Voice, for a rare instance in Konami's history, has actually become playable. So we do actually have the ability to play this in an event, which is great. So we're going to play Voiceless Voice because I can, and because it technically is synergized with the cards that we were given a few times. So I was like, oh, cool, I get to play Voiceless Voice. I haven't played the second so long, and it's so fun. Anyway, we're also playing the Fiendsmith stuff in here because the guy that we got off of this allows us to summon 2 4-star Ladybugs of Doom, or more specifically, 2 level 3 insects, in order to go into this guy, Brass Djinn, Mellow Melody, the Brass Djinn, which gives us the ability to go into a Light Fiend, which then goes into the Fiendsmith combo. So that's kind of the idea there. It's very silly, it's very funny, but if you don't know what Voiceless Voice does, I wouldn't blame you. Konami hasn't let it be playable for like years now. So basically, the idea is you put low onto the field alongside either Scully or literally any of your other rituals in order to give them additional effects and additional protection. With the protection from Barrier, which protects from targeting, as well as is one of your main searchers, with Radiance, which allows you to pop or special from your deck, and with Blessing to special summon from the hand, or ritual summon, I should say, from the hand. Alongside things like Saphira to search out your ritual and give you the ritual summon requirement, right? It's basically a ritual spell. It sends the ritual spell and then basically becomes the ritual spell. It's very interesting. So all in all, that's kind of the idea. It's a pretty low to the ground style deck. You'll understand it almost immediately. But cool. There you go. Let's hop into the replay, show you how this deck performed. Alrighty, here we are going first. And okay, I have to read, first of all, they got Magical Scientist. That's insanity to me. But I have to read you this card, Splitting Planarian, which says you can banish this card you control to special summon 2 level 3 insect monsters from your deck with the same name as each other. That's why we have the Ladybug of Doom. So there you go. That's going to be our first action. Activate the effect, banish it, and of course out comes the 2 Ladybugs, which of course goes into Djinn. Now here's the thing, I already have Engraver in hand. So this kind of sucks, but I was like, all right, I'll play around like Droll, right, just in case they have it. And of course they do. Also, why didn't I send with the Lacrima so that I could get the fusion spell? Well, the fusion spell, or I should say, what's his bucket? Tract. Tract is at 1. So, can't really do that. So I didn't want to do that, and I didn't want to play into the Droll. So there you go. Turns out I was right. Anyway, we're going to ritual summon here since I already drew the low, since I'm just better than my opponent apparently. So we're going to special summon the low. We're going to then set the trap since the barrier isn't really going to do anything, and this is going to give me an additional guy that I can use for later. I'm actually going to tribute summon the Engraver so that I can summon it off of the sequence here. So we're going to sequence back 2 of our guys for the Lacrima. Lacrima effect is going to activate. We're going to bring back the Engraver, and then we are going to Exi summon into DD High Wave King Caesar. DD Wave High King Caesar. Now we can go for the Dynamondo, and one of the things that makes this deck really powerful is the fact that Dynamondo is extremely good in this deck, and you'll see why in a second. We're going to immediately, in draw phase, go for the Dynamondo in order to special summon out our Scully as well as the Low. And Low on summon gets to place the barrier. Now, normally you would use this in reverse, where you would go for the barrier first and then for the radiance, but because we got trolled, we had to do the other way, because this card also searches a card. However, it also gives protection. None of your ritual monsters can be targeted. What does this say? While you control low and a light ritual, your opponent cannot target or your opponent's monsters can only target ritual monsters for attacks. Also, your opponent cannot target light monsters you control with card effects. So the idea is like you just protect your entire field from targeting, and they can't really do anything against the deck because this guy's 4100. That's kind of the idea. Cool. My opponent's going to normal summon a Cyber Dragon core, and I'm going to negate it. They're going to activate the Magical Scientist, which promptly gets negated by the DD High Wave High King Caesar, and they're going to activate a thing, and I'm just going to go for the Saravis. Saravis can summon Saravis, which is pretty good, and Saravis has the ability to negate a summon, which is also pretty good. And then he also bounces himself back to hand, which then can be utilized to protect from anything being targeted. If your opponent, when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a monster you control, you can discard this card to negate the activation. Pretty solid. Anyway, we're going to attempt to pop the Cyber Dark Realm. My opponent succeeds there, but yeah, pretty funny. Nice snake summoning an insect, or set of insects. I don't know what the heck that card is. It's weird. But hey, we won with it. Alright, and the last deck is a pretty simple deck. It's Medius, or more specifically Art Mage, and this deck centers around utilizing the field spell to send a whole bunch of spells to the graveyard in order to, or spell traps, I should say, in order to search out all of your guys. So that's kind of the idea here. So we're playing lots of spells and traps. So yeah, here you go. Here's just a bunch of spells and traps. Anytime that I would be given a spell trap that's just like in my hand that I don't necessarily want to use, like for example, Ground Collapse, which I believe I had in this replay, what I would do is I would load up this deck and just pitch it, just send it to the graveyard to search a guy. It's pretty solid. That was pretty much the idea. If you don't know how Art Mage works, it centers around utilizing Deoctorus alongside Medius in order to basically put a whole bunch of interactions on the board. Graflair can pop a card. Latera can give you some of the spell traps into rotation. They have a new counter trap that negates as well. You have Non Finito, which is another addition to the combo, but can also get you into more effectively Nerva, which is a board wipe as well. So there's a bunch of stuff like that. Deoctorus is also a negate, and so is Finmel. Finmel also negates the entire opponent's monster field, I should say, or all face-up monsters. So, there you go. It's pretty solid. It's a very strong deck in the event. Yeah, let's just take a look at it. Alrighty, here we are going first, and that is 5 spells. I'm just kidding. It's 6 spells. Yeah, there's the Ground Collapse. So yeah, I was playing more of a board breaker style just because I wanted more spells and traps in rotation for the Art Mage cards. We're going to start off here with the search with Medius, and then we're going to go for the field spell here. Now we can go for the Graflair. Graflair can then set, because we have an Art Mage card, we can also set the spell. Now we grab up the trap card, which we will send to the graveyard in order to search out our Latera. Latera can then special summon itself and search out the spell. Just kidding. Or add back, I should say, an Art Mage card. Just kidding. Obviously, they have the ghost spell there, so can't really do anything about that. That's fine. We can pitch another guy in order to grab Finmel, and Finmel can special summon itself and draw a card. Now we can tribute the Finmel as well as one of the monsters in order to then special summon out the Non Finito, which for some reason is a just Link 0. I don't like these style of cards, but okay, sure. Here's Non Finito. We're going to go for the Medius, the Pure now, in order to, because we get an extra normal summon off of the field spell, we now get to summon the Power Patron, which then gives us Deoctorus, which then schmoofs that guy. We also search out the Fusion spell. This is just a Fusion spell. Quick play Fusion spell. And then we just normal the Latera because it does have an effect on field. All of the monsters have an effect on field if there are 3 differently named or different attribute type monsters on the field, except for Latera, which can just be activated at any point as long as it's on the field. However, Graflair and Finmel have the ability where during the main phase they can do a thing if you have 3 or more different monster types. Same thing with Deoctorus. However, Non Finito doesn't have that as either. It just gives you the ability to fusion summon on the opponent's turn. It's pretty solid, but the idea is, again, just putting enough guys onto the field in order to actually interact. My opponent reveals that they're on Millennium, which is funny. So they're going to go for the Millennium here. And I have Finmel in Grave, which can be summoned off of Laterra, which means that if they even attempt to go to combat, we can just summon the Finmel, activate the effect, negate the guy, and they're dead. Good game. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I think this event is pretty fun in terms of deck building. There's a bunch of different things that you can do with the cards that are given to you. For example, I even played it because there are some of these that have half life points. I even played an FDK deck where I was just burning my opponent to death, which was pretty funny. Even with all of the bans to burn style cards, you still are able to FTK the opponent, which is very funny. So there's lots of stuff like that that I think is pretty cool, and that's why I like this event. It's just a fun event, nice and silly. And also, look at this. One of the mighty cards that you can get is Xeno, which is so funny. Oh, man, it's great. Anyway, that's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, a like is very much appreciated. And remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye.